Hi guys, and welcome back to another World of Tanks Back to Basics, and today we're talking about heavy tanks. No, that's mediums. There, the boy. And as you can see, I have modified my tank carousel, so now I have 3 rows, not 2. It's a lot easier in general. Now, heavy tanks can be divided up into 3 different kinds of category. You've got your slow, usually heavily armored, usually when I say heavily armored, I mean heavily armored, will normally bounce most shots. Then you've got your medium heavies that have speed and usually a nice little punchy gun, circa the M7 for example. And then you've got the heavy tanks with practically like no armor and an absolutely freaking amazing gun, circa say a tank like the KV-2. Now the Soviet KV-2 is my fun. It's my favorite. Well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite heavy, but it is it's the most fun you can have with your pants on. As Jingles said in one of his videos, the KV-2 is a fun tank. It doesn't matter what tier you go into. Simply, as long as you can at least fire your gun once, you're going to have fun. It's just a really fun tank. Its top speed is 35 km/h, which for a heavy is pretty fast, but you're really not going to get to see that speed unless you're going downhill. Occasionally on some maps you will see that 35 km/h speed, but 9 times out of 10 you won't. The VK3001H, the Herschel, or Herschel, 35 km/h is a work of fiction. You're never going to see that in this tank. Even if you did get the... maybe if you get the final upgraded engine you might, but truth be told, that is a work of fiction. You're never going to see that thing. Never. So let's do a little quick sum up. Churchill 3 premium tank, okay, very slow tank, very fast firing, 6-pounder gun, the exact same gun that you get on the M7 medium. It's the exact same gun. Cannot fire HE, which is a bit of a downside in my honest opinion. So you're gonna have to stand there and spend 3-4 shells killing, tier 4, tier 5, maybe even tier 6 artillery. You can't one-shot them unless you hit them in the ammo rack, of course, and it's not even a guarantee. Let's see. So I'll do it in rate of speed. So slow tank. Again, this one has a tier 4 gun, really low pen. You're going to have to aim with this thing, but at .46, this tank's a slugger. It really is. Angling is okay. The 50 armor all around on paper is just that it's on paper. I believe that the frontal armor with the sloping is probably around about 70 to 100 millimeters, which is actually pretty impressive for a tier 5 premium. Let's take a look at non-premium heavy, shall we, for a quick second? Oh, actually, no, let's take a look at the other premiums that I have. Then you've got the American T-34, T-34, oh no, it's just a T-34. This thing, really weak hull armor. I mean, really weak. So the most famous troll turret armor there is. Unless, of course, you've got an opponent who knows where he's aiming, he will get through your frontal armor. There are weak spots, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's a good little money maker. Sees tier 10s. I believe it's the only tier 8 premium tank that sees tier 10s. I think the Lerve sees only tier 9s. The FCM50 only sees tier 9s. But I believe that the American T-34 does see tier 10s. What else is that? Oh, and then there's the TOG, of course. TOG 2. According to this, the TOG shouldn't see anything higher than tier 7, which is a whole bunch of hoo-hockey, because I've actually gone up against tier 8s in this thing, which is basically just a joke. You'll get one-shotted practically 9 times out of 10 by the artillery. What else is there? Then you've got little... I wouldn't call them uber-fast heavies, which is the opposite end of the spectrum, but some heavies that actually have some mobility. So let's do a quick recap. The TOG-2 is the slowest heavy in the game, I believe, at 14 kmh. Followed by the Churchill. No, correction. Yes, the Churchill. Then the T14. Then the VK3001H. Then the M6. Now the M6 will see 35 kilometers an hour. It's a good little power to weight ratio. So it's got a lot of acceleration. You will see that 35. You won't see it on the VK. Then I believe the T50. Yeah, because again it's 35 kilometers, but it's got an okay power to weight ratio. KV2. Again, even though the T150 and the KV2 are basically the same chassis design, just different turret. But a fast, mobile heavy is something like the M103. Now, yes, the M103 is a Tier 9, I believe it's Tier 9 heavy. And most people, when they think Tier 9 heavy, they think really slow, really powerful, big punchy gun. No, that's the tank destroyers. That's the American tank destroyers. American heavies, for some reason, were going with mobility. Like in World War II, the EZ-8 Sherman, the M4 Sherman. They were designed for mobility, not firepower, not armor. They were meant for mobility. Originally, the M4 Sherman was designed for a troop support role, not a frontline battle tank. At the time, the only frontline battle tanks that they had, I believe, was the M7 and the Grizzly. But the Grizzly's not in the game, unfortunately, which is a shame. Nor's the Sherman Firefly, which I wish it was. But back to the heavies. And as you can see, my M103, she already has, you know, the vents and the enhanced gun lane drive and the large caliber ammo. Unfortunately, I really want to swap out the enhanced gun lane drive for a vertical stabilizer. Reason being is because this tank is so fast and mobile, even if I stand still, the gun lane drive doesn't help me that much as what a vertical stabilizer will, because I'm constantly moving my turret. So I'll swap that out at a later stage once I get enough credits to, because I'm a bit low on finances right this second. Damn you, wargaming and your sales. But if you notice that my current loadout ammunition wise is 3 HE, 10 heat ammo and 20 AP. Now the HE is simply for one reason: artillery, light scout tanks, and tracks basically. A heat shot is great for getting through armor. And actually, you know, but it's not a guarantee. HE is not a guaranteed damage either, but it is a guaranteed module destruction. So, for example, if I aim for the front drive wheel here on my M103 as a quick example, with a HE shot, chances are the explosion's gonna go past the wheel, hit the side armor, may wound the driver, radio operator, hurt the tracks. So you get your money's worth, in my opinion, out of HE shots, since they modified the HE shells now. What can I say? It's ultimately your nation's playstyle. Notice that there is no French heavies here. Notice that there is no Chinese heavies here. I do have the Chinese heavies unlocked. Let's just go to the Chinese for a quick second. I do have, as you can see, the IS-2 unlocked, but I sold it simply because I was not liking it. I wasn't getting into it. It was just not my cup of tea, if you will. So I sold it. I am looking at purchasing the T-34-3 and the 112, simply just to help bulk out my Chinese line. Simply because I do plan on completing the rest of the Chinese line. I do plan on going all the way up to tier 10s in both lines, both the lights into mediums and the lights into heavies. Mediums into heavies, sorry. Simply because I enjoy the Chinese tanks. Yes, they have really no tank traverse, but they have other ways of making up for it. Same as the Japanese line. I also plan on getting all the way up to the STA-1, maybe the Type 61, and then stopping there. I don't plan on getting the STB-1 just yet. There are rumors floating around on several forums and several chat rooms that the STB-1 will be getting a tweak or a nerf. No one can decide whether it's a tweak or a nerf just yet. As for my Soviet line, well, what can I say? I have unlocked the S-51 artillery. I have unlocked the KV-3. I am currently, I'm going to try and free some EXP, some of the KV-3 upgrades, for example, like the tracks, the engine, the turret, and I'm not really going to bother with the radios, since how the KV-3 is a support heavy. He's not a main frontline battle tank. He never was and never will be. And that's where I'm going to stop there. Our tank destroyer wise, I am up to the Su-85. I do plan on getting the Su-100 and going all the way down to the ISU-152 line. I plan on stopping at the Object 268, which is tier 10. I don't plan on stopping at the Object 263. I actually want to go down the ISU line. Not because they get a nice sneezy gun or anything. It's just that to be honest with you, every time I've played against ISU 152s, I've actually feared them. Simply because I don't know if they've got the BL10 gun, which is boom, 1,050 hit points gone. So I want that sort of fear power on my side. As for the French, yeah, not going anywhere in the French. Not going anywhere anytime soon. As for the Germans, I have just recently unlocked the Sturmgewitz 3. I've also got the VK3001H, as you can see, I am playing with it. I now also own a Panzer 38 NA. I do plan on unlocking the Panzerkampfwagen 4. And I do plan on going down the 3001P, getting the Tiger P. I also plan on getting the 3002M Panther. I plan on going down the Mauser 100 and E50M lines. When it comes to my Panzer 34, I'm happy with it. I really am happy with my Panzer 34. I have no intentions of getting the VK3001D just yet. So I'll probably, the fact that I've got the bugger unlocked already is a good thing, because then I can just take my time and slowly go. I was honestly only going to go down the Leopard line, but I've recently decided to go down the German heavy line first, leaving the tank destroyers for a little bit later on. Hence, that's why I haven't really pressed the Marder 38T into getting the Panzer Schleifen 4C. I do plan on buying the Sturmgewitz 3, just so I can get into the Jagdpanzer 4, into the Jagdpanther, into the Jagdpanther 2, Jagdtiger, into the Jagdpanzer E100. That is my end goal with the tank destroyers. I do not want the Waffenträger E100. As much as it is a fun tank destroyer to shoot at, and a fun tank destroyer to shoot on the test server, on the live server, I've noticed that people tend to single out the Waffenträger E100 faster than anything else, especially light tanks, because light tanks know that if they can get behind you, they can just keep popping you anywhere in the turret and you're dead, because the turret has no armor. Also, the turret is quite high raised, which means you can't really go hold down effectively. So stealth is your only option with the E100, but once the new 8.11 patch comes in, the moment the Waffenträger E100 fires, he's lost all his camo rating, so stealth ain't even going to be your best friend anymore. So I'm ignoring the entire secondary tank destroyer line. I'm going for the primary tank destroyer line on the Germans. On the British, as of course, I'm up to the Comet. I'm up to the Churchill 7 and the Comet. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. I did play with the Sexton 2 for a while. It wasn't really my cup of tea, so I sold it. As for the Americans, yes, your eyes do not deceive you. I do own the T-57 artillery piece, simply because I'm trying to get back into basics, learning how artillery play, just for you guys, so that I can do a breakdown of what artillery is the best for you. Heavies wise, there's only one real heavy line for the Americans, which is the M103 into the T11E5 0E5, and then as you can see, I do have my Patton, who ironically is almost close enough to actually get its last gun. I only need another 10,000 EXP, then I'll have the 105 on it, which means I'll finally have some punch. I won't have to flank all the time to even hurt the enemy, which then leads me onto the lengthy strain of 160,000 EXP required to unlock the Mark 48 pattern, which when I do will be absolutely epic, because then the only thing I'll have left to unlock is the last 105. Tank destroyer line, I do plan on stopping for a while at the T30 to enjoy it, because a lot of people just use the T30 as a step footing tank, because the T30 does get the big sneezy 155, as you see here, into the T11 0E4. but I'm actually going to stop for a long time at the T30, T28 prototype stage, simply because, well, I actually enjoy the T20 prototype. Even though she's slow, she's useless, she's pathetic, she is a good little Tin Company battle. She's not a bad tank destroyer. A lot of people prefer just to go with 7 heavies and a light tank. I actually prefer to take my tank destroyer, simply because I can ambush, and with her intermediate gun, the 105, you can do a lot of damage with that 198 pen. It's the same gun that's on the T32. But the 120 is a guaranteed. I'm going to punch through a IS-3 regardless of your pike nose. 248 millimeters of penetration with 297 with premium. So yeah, I believe I'm only 9,000 away from getting that. So exactly, I'll unlock that, start saving up to unlock the T30, then probably save back up again and unlock the T28. A lot of people like to unlock the T28 first, because you'll have everything unlocked for it except for the tracks. They usually unlock the tracks and then get jump ship and get the T95. I may do that as well. I may get the T95, the Doom Turtle, if you will, as well as the T30, and just hold off for a while. I really haven't played a lot of turretless tank destroyers. I prefer my turret tank destroyers, hence that's why I still have my Wolverine, my Hellcat, my Jackson. I was actually quite enjoying the T25-2 until a recent nerf patch hit it. I have no intentions of getting any of the American autoloaders, and then for now the goal on obtaining the Chaffee is on hold. I may decide to get that during an event maybe. But back to the basics of heavy tanks. Pretty much, guys, when it comes down to a heavy tank in question, it depends on your nation, it depends on your playstyle, and you're going to have to find that one heavy that suits your playstyle. Again, being an American medium tank player, I do like mobility. I like the ability to flank. I like the ability to wolfpack. And the M103 is an intermediate tank. Basically, it is a heavy tank. It's classified as a heavy tank. However, if you're not the only heavy on your team, I suggest you use it as a medium. Go with some medium tanks. That way, they can be the jab, you can be the haymaker. You can be the knockout punch that heavy tank didn't see coming. You've got, I wouldn't say it's slugging, a slugger's armor, but it is better armor overall for close quarter fighting. You can angle your armor. It's very effective sloping, actually. I do have to admit, it is very effective sloping. As you can see, my crew isn't at 100% just yet. I believe they're at 94%. Yep, 94%. And once they hit 100, first skill they're going to get is repairs. And again, guys, that's another question that a lot of people keep asking me is, what is the most perfect skill for a heavy tank? And to tell you the truth, there is no perfect skill. What I do is I'll use my T34 as an example here. As you can see, my first tier skills in my commander is mentor, repairs, and then I'm working on brother in arms. I do plan, once I get more donations of gold, I do plan on reskilling my T32 crew, where the first skill is brother in arms, the second skill is repairs, and then the third skill is going to be mentor, then snapshot, then smooth ride, then signal awareness, situational awareness, then adrenaline rush, and then safe stowage. Reason being is, repairs is what a heavy needs. You're tracked, you don't want arty to pinpoint you, especially if the enemy have more than one artillery piece. You don't want to stay stationary. Plain and simple. Even if you're behind a rock and you think you're safe, you're not safe. The moment you think you are safe, you're dead, especially in a heavy. It's the only advice I can really give you is do not stay still. Even if you're bottlenecked, if there's if you're in a very narrow alley where you know you cannot get flanked, or where you know you're not going to get side-shotted, and you find that one indestructible house or that one indestructible rock and you hug it, wrong thing to do. The reason why those heavies are doing that is because they want you to stop so that artillery can hit you. Your best bet is to pull back slowly, giving yourself covering fire. Literally, start backing up, giving yourself one, maybe two covering fire shots at the heavy so that they themselves realize that, holy crap, you know what you're doing. But most importantly, count to 2, 3, stop. Wait a second, count to 2, 3 as you're backing up, stop. Count to 2, 3 as you're... Because that way artillery has to keep readjusting, which means his reticle goes from this to this, from this to this, from this to this. He is going to get annoyed because he can't hit you. Also, as you're backing up, don't back up straight because you're giving your enemy flat armor, in essence. Always twerk it, side to side shimmy, with your turret going in the opposite direction as your chassis. That way, it's nothing but angled armor. So, if your rear's going to the right, your turret should be going to the left. Okay, guys? Plain and simple. Back up, get the hell out of there. It's a delaying tactic, and it's working because it's made you stop. Never stop in a heavy tank. I don't care if you're a fast heavy tank. I don't care if you're a slow heavy tank. I don't care if you're an intermediate heavy tank. Just back up. Back up, and let you become the ambusher, not the ambushee. Okay? Because basically, in that sort of scenario, you are the prey. They are the predator. You can flip that sort of scenario on your opponent by backing up. Let them think they've won. They come through that nice little tight alley, that little 8 line on that one map, or that, let them come to you. Now they're in the open. Now your artillery can shoot. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? You've got to think counter tactics. You cannot think that you can do it alone. No war is ever won by one man or one tank. It is won by men, not man, men. Okay? And I'm not being sexist. Okay? I'm counting women in that as well. Okay? It's not won by a Rambo. It's won by a nation. Okay? And you've got to think like that. Okay? Be friendly. Even if a moron is blocking you and ramming you and shooting you, don't retaliate. Just say to him, thanks for the free repair cost. Ignore him. If he procs you on fire, don't use your fire extinguisher. Do not use your fire extinguisher. Because that's $3,000 you've just paid. Just burn. Just burn. Just burn, just burn, just burn. When you're dead, because trust me, you will die from most fires. It depends on what tank you're in anyway. And you're on fire, and you burn and you die. His name is Blue, which means the next game anyone on your team right there and then can then kill him at no repercussions. But most importantly, and this is the most important thing, the next 4 games he goes in, he's going to be Blue, which means, again, no repercussions for anyone on your team that kill him. He's going to have a shitty, and the best thing is, no one's going to have to pay for the repair costs on him. So, he goes into a game, a T-30 looks at him, vaporizes him, walks on. And the best thing is, if that T-30 doesn't kill him in one shot, and he actually returns around and shoots back at the T-30, he's now paying for the T-30's repair cost. Which is why it's never smart to respond to a team killer. Okay? Trust me, just let the system deal with it. But with heavies, the only advice I can give you, first skill you will want to get is repairs. Repairs. Ignore mentor. Ignore, all these other smooth ride. Just ignore them all. Trust me, just ignore them all. Go with repairs. Second tier skill. Go, once you've got repairs mastered, okay, look at where your tank is lacking. Is it lacking in turret rotation? Is it lacking in traverse speed? Is the body not turning fast enough for you? Okay, then all you need to do, and this is where it's going to be weird, but let's take a look at my Easy 8 crew, my Easy 8 Sherman. Now, the Easy 8 Sherman does not have a problem moving its chassis, but I use this crew for my Super Pershing, which does have a problem moving its chassis. Hence, that's why my driver has clutch braking. Clutch braking literally means your chassis moves 5% faster. So if let's take a look at the Super Pershing stats for a quick second, okay? Traverse speed of 32 degrees per second. Okay? Plus 5% onto that bumps it up to almost 40, 41. Trust me, you can now twerk in this thing like it's a Sherman. And I do it all the time, especially with my medium spore-liner armor, as you can see here. HE shells do nothing practically. The BL-10 gun is now useless against me, as long as they don't hit me in the certain weak spots in the front. But 9 times out of 10, at long distance plus twerking, a BL-10 gun will do no damage to you. HE will do like maybe 1, maybe 5 points of damage, if that. All because of clutch braking and a medium spore-liner armor. You've effectively made quite a lot of tanks useless. Just know the game, take your time, learn your tank's role, Google your tank's history, Google the Super Pershing, Google the EZ-8 Sherman, Google the Panzerkampfwagen 3-4, Google the Type 3 Chinook Kai. Just Google the tank, find out what role it was primary, not designed for, what it ended up becoming. Okay, for example, the M103 was primarily designed as a counter armor tank, which means that's why its gun has, you know, pretty freaking impressive AP, if you ask me. And as you can see, 242. That's enough to take out most enemy heavy tanks of its tier, to damage them at least. You can hurt them mouths with that sort of stuff. Yet in the Korean War, in the Vietnam War, when the Pattons were around, they weren't used as frontline. No, they were used to take out jungles and buildings. So they used high explosive. So you got to understand the roles that the tank was initially designed for and the roles they ended up in. So guys, that's the only advice I can give you when it concerns heavy tanks. You know, I'll probably play a game with a slow tank. Let's okay, I'm gonna bust out the and we instantly get into a game. That's rare. So, okay, we're second top, which means we can't necessarily breathe, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're, you know, we can seal club. No, not by far. The KV-1 drive is good. The Chinook Kai drive is good. The Su-85 is good. You know, you've just got to learn to play smart. And know what you're doing. Okay, guys? Now, of course, we're on the south end. I may actually turn around and push. I'm going to load a HE shell first. And we have an Electro, a Stuart. Oh, wow. We've got 5 AFK tanks. That's all we need. 5 AFK tanks. So, defensive play, plain and simple. With a tank like this, with only 50 mil of armor, against the KV-1, it's going to pen me all day. Chinook Kai is going to pen me all day. M4 is going to pen me all day. Ram 2 is going to pen me all day. Tank destroyers, all of them are going to pen me all day. Panzer 1C won't. T-46 won't. Cruiser 4, if he has the pom-pom, he won't. So again, you know, play defensive and just know what you're doing. There is a grilly, so again, I'm not gonna bear hug that building because they're gonna be looking for tanks in that. That's a typical tank destroyer slash heavy tank camp spot. So you don't want to go the typical routes. You want to be in places where they're not going to expect you. Now, of course, that M4 and that Ram 2 is out of my view range, so I can't spot them, but they're not out of my radio range. Hence, that's why my teammates are like, hey guys, they're over here. You know what I mean? Yes? We've got an M2 medium, a Matilda Black Prince, and a Cruiser 4. Now, I want to be careful here, because I know I can get shot at by tank destroyers. And if I'm lit, I'll soon know because an artillery will start shooting at me. There you go. T-82 on the other side of the hill. That was a T-82. He's now dead. Okay, so we're now 4 up on them, which is a good thing. But the KV-1 has not been spotted. Again, the M8A1 is out of my view range. This tank really has poor view range. Again, you'll find that a lot of slow heavy tanks do have really poor view range. Okay, there's the KV-1 and there's the Chinook High.
Wirkungstreffer. Kette verloren. Wir sind bewegungsunfähig. Unser Munitionslager wurde getroffen. Das war's für
Yep,
uns.
really got me. Again. Telling him to get to the cap now. And this Matilda Black Prince is tunnel visioned. Literally tunnel visioned. He wants that frickin' grilly so goddamn bad that their VK3001H will be able to pick him off along with the M8. Dumbest.
Gunner is dead. We're shooting blind.
'Again, I'm glad that this map's being modified. In the new map, this hill is gone. It's shifted to the center. This hill is more flatter. This area is more raised. See, this poor Sturmkowitz 3 has now got to try and kill a KV-1 and a Matilda by himself. And it ain't gonna happen. Not unless he gets flanking shots. Nine times out of 10, when you don't see an enemy tank, it usually means that you're usually about to bump into them, quote unquote. This is going to be a victory, of course. Since how there's only 2 of them left on this side and they're both lit up, there's no way they're going to get to stop the cap. Smart Sturmkowitz play. He's actually retreating, which is actually a smart move. M8 needs to learn to play smarter. Of course, the Electro is AFK, so he will get reported. Idle bot. And we won. And that's with a slow tier 5 German tank. Master Gunner Sharpshooter, and I make 1215 EXP with my double, of course. Spotted the Chinook High, nailed it in the engine with just 2 shots. And I believe that's not even enough for anything. Nope, so you can't unlock anything. And even if I was going to unlock anything, it would most likely be the new turret, so that I can equip the other 7.5 gun that I got from the Panzer III-4. So my tank will actually have a punch to it, not this 103 pen, which basically won't do nothing. But anyway, guys, that is my rough help I can only give you with heavy tanks. Crew skill wise, start off with repairs, then move on to a skill that's going to enhance the weaknesses of the tank. For example, if the tank lacks mobility, work on improving things like clutch braking, smooth ride, things of that nature. If the tank has, very weak gun selection, look like this gun. It's only a tier 4 gun, but it does get up to a tier 7 gun. I can't wait to see this thing with a tier 7 gun. It's going to be freaking amazing. And your best bet, truth be told, is when you actually start looking at the tanks. A lot of people get confused by the guns. I tend to go with a tank that has actual pen. Huh. And there's Vixen. So guys, I'm going to end this video here with a stay safe, have fun, keep your shells flying, keep the enemies dying. Cobra Commander is out, and the next Back to Basics video will be on tank destroyers, so stay tuned.